Right, so we know that it actually happened in a correct time period, but maybe the characters and the events that happens in our story are not right, are not true. And if we look up under nonfiction and where it says the excerpt from the social studies textbook, let's highlight that as well, because that lets us know that that's how we can distinguish between historical fiction and nonfiction, because nonfiction, our things will come from our social studies textbooks, newspaper articles, or encyclopedias. Okay, and at the very bottom is a summary. I'm going to give you 90 seconds to write whatever you learned that's the difference, explain the difference between historical fiction and nonfiction at the bottom of your paper. Okay, who would like to share with me your brief summary that you wrote? Jazz, what did you write?
Historical fiction, it has made up events, but not, it has made up characters, but nonfiction has real characters, has real events.
Okay, so it has made up characters, but the time period, let's remember that the time period for historical fiction, that the time period is actually true. But like Jazz said, that our characters and the events are made up. Yes, ma'am, Takia?
I can say that?
Yes, you may.
A historical fiction has a real life event with fake characters or events, and a nonfiction has real people and real events, such as biography or history.
Great job. Okay, so what you all have, if we can put our pencils down, and what you all have in the center of your desk are some words. And these words have something to do with a historical event that has taken place, and it also has words to deal with some of the things that we're going to discover as we read our novel, Number the Stars. So what we're going to do right now is a brain dump. We're going to dump all the information based on the topic that you have on your desk and tell me all about everything that you know about that particular topic, okay? So I'm going to give you 2 minutes to complete that. Now what you're going to need to do is first find somebody that's going to write it, and then once we're done, we don't have to do it right now in your group. You're going to tell me, you're going to have somebody that's going to write, and then the next person is going to tell everybody about what you all came up with for your particular topic, okay? So when I say go, you're going to flip over your paper and start writing about your topic, all right? Go.
I don't care.
Okay, so who is gonna write? Okay.
You spell Jews wrong.
It's a J.
It's a J, not a G.
That is too much.
Yes, not to say
No, you just gotta put bullet points.
Fought in World War II. He's the leader of Germany. He was the dictator though. But we can't. Yeah, we're gonna write. I better understand your man.
6 million.
6 million were killed during World War II. Okay, gotta write.
respecting our teammates so that we can see what they came up with about their particular topic, okay? Let's start right here. So one person tell us what you all had, and let's read what you all came up with.
We had Jews, and the first one we had was they had to go to concentration camps. 6 million of them were killed during World War II. I don't blame them for World War I. Jews were not fed well, and I was also going to put by having enough time. They were beat down even if they couldn't work or anything.
Okay, let's give them some shine. That was good. Next group back here. What's the topic that you all have?
World War II.
Okay. Stand up straight, Takia.
We didn't have enough time or whatever because he was writing slow, but
This is what we had down. World War II was started by Germany in 1939 because they invaded Poland or whatever, and he finished it.
Okay. That's good. We appreciate that. Yes, ma'am, Lori. Stand up and tell us what topic you have.
we had the Holocaust. So we wrote down Jews were harmed by the Nazi Germans. They were put into concentration camps, put into ghettos. They were worked to death, and this happened to Jews of all ages.
Great job. Thank you, ma'am. This group right here, what do you all have? Stand up straight so that we can hear you and see you.
Hitler was a dictator.
So what's your topic? What's your topic? Hitler, okay.
Hitler was a dictator. Hitler was the leader of Germany. Hitler was the person who put Jews in concentration camps. Hitler killed Jews. Hitler invaded Normandy to stop World War II.
Okay. This group right here.
We the Germans.
We got Germans.
We fought in World War I and World War II. We held the Jews in the Holocaust. We killed 6 million Jews. We invaded Poland. We were in the Axis powers. We formed an alliance with Japan, and we were the Nazis.
Great job. And our last group. Here.
Okay, we have they put Jews in concentration camps. Blame Jews for World War I problems. Adolf Hitler was the leader, and Jews were Nazis killed Jews over 6 million.
All right, so as you all know, with the different topics that you all had, they talked about different things that happened in that particular time period, World War II. And that same time period, around that time, is going to take place in the same novel that we'll be reading, Number the Stars. Okay? So if you all will turn your pages and your handout, if you'll turn the page. And you're going to have and this is article. And I want you all to skim through the article. And the article is going to give us some background information about our novel. Skim through the article, and with your highlighters, highlight some of the words that you might not know or might not be familiar with, okay? Before we start reading. Okay, so what are some words that you might be unfamiliar with as you skim through the through the articles that you might not know? Raina?
I said racial purity
Racial
and
purity?
slabs.
In Slav? Okay. So racial purity, what that is that we know Adolf Hitler, and he wanted to have his own particular race, okay? So that's what racial purity is, where the race is all pure. He wanted to be all white, or all Jews, or all blacks, right? So that's the meaning of racial purity. And Slavs is a type of people that Hitler were against. So you know how we talked about slaves?
Yes.
So slaves were those people that, white people didn't like. So Slavs are a type of people that Hitler did not like. What's another vocabulary word that you might be understanding, DeAndre? Kenny. Can we have a seat, please? Yes.
Copenhagen.
Copenhagen?
Copenhagen.
Okay. I go. So we need to listen and pay attention because we're going to learn something different. Kenny, get the tissue and have a seat, please. Okay, then go to the restroom and get your tissue. So Copenhagen, I go. Copenhagen, DeAndre, we're going to learn more about that. But Copenhagen is a place that takes place in our story. And we're going to talk more about that later on, okay?
Denmark.
In Denmark is the country. Copenhagen is a city. And we're going to talk all about that. I'll take you for one more. Yes, ma'am.
What is inferior racism and what is
Synagogue. So synagogues are Jewish churches. Synagogues are Jewish churches that the Jews go to worship, okay? Now, you can take your pencil, your highlighter, and you're going to track me as I read aloud. And we're going to annotate, but with our annotations, I'm going to think aloud as I read. So I'm going to tell you some things that you might find important. And as I read, then I want you all to mark your own annotations as well, okay? Number the stars. I need you to track your paper. I'll wait. Takia. Number the Stars by Lois Lowry. Number the Stars is set mainly in Copenhagen, Denmark in 1943. That's interesting. So I'm going to put an exclamation point. Put an exclamation point by that. Because it says that the Number the Stars is set mainly in Copenhagen, Denmark in 1943. That's giving us the time period. So that sentence right there lets us know, and Kosi, that time period, right, that sentence right there lets us know that this is what? A historical event. An historical event, so therefore meaning is historical fiction. We'll continue to read. It is a time when war is raging through Europe and parts of Asia. German forces, commanded by Adolf Hitler, have invaded the lands around Germany, and Japan is attacking nations in Pacific. Great Britain, France, and later the United States joined forces to stop the aggression. Now, right here, let's put a C next to that. Let's put a C next to that. If you are listening to me, hold on. Kenan, are you going to have a seat or you can get out? No, Miss Burgers. Have a seat then, Kenan. Have a seat, please, Kenan. So the slower you move, the more I'm going to take.
No, where are we supposed to put the seats?
Kenan, if you can have a seat. Kenan.
No, seriously, where are we supposed to put the seats?
Kenan.
No, I'm serious. I'm dead serious.
We're going to have a seat.
Where are we supposed to put the seats?
I go. Now, you all at first you started off being very respectful. Now it seems like you're being disrespectful. And I would hate for you all to do the same thing that GSU is doing, right? So I would appreciate if you all pay attention. Yes, I did. You're going to have to wait. I'm going to read the connection again, and because this is very important, and you all are going to need it. Put it on your desk. Put it on your desk. Put it on your desk. So I'll wait. I'll wait. Kenneth, that's 5.
No, somebody took my highlight.
Thank you. Yeah.
Oh. Kenneth, go step outside.
She took my highlight.
Go step
It was on the
outside.
floor.
Kenneth, go step outside. You don't know why you stepping outside?
No.
Oh, okay. I think the class might know.
No.
Teacher just took my highlight.
No, it was on the floor right there.
How my highlight get all the way?
Kenneth.
Right there.
Kenneth.
Okay, Jay, how would I go all the way over there and get that highlight?
Yes.
How would I go over there and get that highlight?
Davia.
I'll go.
All day.
So then what's going to happen, Jacoria, you're going to read it by yourself. Because you all are being very rude now. And I don't think I was being rude with you all.
Oh, I know why they did.
Takia. I know that it's on the floor, Henry. Put your shoes on or you're going out too. Can we continue reading, please?
Yes, ma'am.
So we're going to start back where it says after 1943. So, it is a time when wars raging through Europe and parts of Asia. German forces commanded by Adolf Hitler have invaded the lands around Germany, and Japan is attacking nations in the Pacific. Great Britain, France, and later the United States joined forces to stop the aggression. Now, we're going to put a C next to that at the end of that sentence because that's a text-to-text connection. Hold on one second. That's something that you all learned in social studies about Adolf Hitler and him invading Germany. Did you all learn that in social studies? When she comes back, Takia, you can go. All right, we're going to continue. So what's about to happen, I'm going to let Ms. Marzette finish because you all are being very rude. All you have to do is follow along as I read this paragraph, okay? So that you can learn something. Henry, get up, bye. But you didn't have to get up. You didn't have to get up. Bye, Henry. Bye, Henry.
Bye.
So we're going to start in our second paragraph. Okay? Remember, let's track and make sure we annotate as we continue to read. Adolf Hitler was the leader of German aggression and was obsessed by the concept of racial purity. Who asked about racial purity? You, Raina?
Yes.
Okay. So let's put a question mark by that because Raina had a question about racial purity. Not only did she have a question about it, but we know that it's about pure races and not only having one particular race. He believed that the German people were members of a master race and destined to take over the world. Let's put a question mark at the end of that sentence. Because who is Hitler to determine who's a master race and who's able to take over the world? He doesn't have that authority nor that power, right?
Yeah.
Okay. The German Nazis believed that people such as Slavs and those of African descent were members of inferior races. So let's put an exclamation point there because that's an interesting fact. Because apparently, if he didn't like Slavs or African people of that descent, so that means he didn't like black people as well.
Racist?
He didn't. Right, because he didn't like African descents or Slavs. He felt that his race was the inferior races for all races. Nazis also believed that Jews were members of the lowest and most dangerous races of all. So let's put a question mark at the end of that, because why why does he feel that the Jews, because of their religion, were the lowest and most dangerous race of all? Go ahead, Takia. Immediately after his rise to power, Hitler embarked on a slow and steady campaign to rid Germany of Jews. In 1935, German Jews lost their citizenship, and marriage between Jews and citizens of German blood was forbidden. So from that sentence, what's familiar to you all that sentence that we read? Something that you know that's familiar. Yes, DeAndre?
Oh, it's like how black people couldn't marry or date or talk to whites.
Absolutely. It's just like how black and white people, they couldn't get married and they couldn't communicate. That's the same thing that happened here with Hitler. That the Jews lost their citizenship. Remember how blacks weren't able to vote during the civil rights time period? So that's the same thing that happened here. Jews, they lost their citizenship, and their marriage between the Jews and other people, they didn't happen. So just like how blacks and whites couldn't date, that's the same thing that happened in this particular time period as well. So we can put a C after forbidden because that's a text-to-text connection. So we're going to continue to reading. In 1938, more than 1,000 synagogues, and what is synagogues?
The church.
The Jewish church. 1,000 synagogues were burned, thousands of Jewish businesses were looted, and 30,000 Jews were arrested. What is that something familiar with too? Yes, ma'am. Yes.
That reminds me of like when black people were like marched to the civil rights.
Yeah, when they were marched, and remember when we went to the Civil Rights Museum, how we saw how the churches got burnt down and our businesses got burnt down? That's the same thing that happened there, where the Jewish businesses were burnt down and they were arrested as well because they were trying to be free like we were, right? So Jews began fleeing Germany, but many nations refused to take them in as refugees. As a result of Germany's expansion, soon not only German Jews, but Jews throughout Europe were at risk. It was in Eastern Europe that the Germans began the final and most horrific stage of their anti-Jew campaign. So let's put a question mark after anti-Jew campaign, because we're trying to figure out what that is. What is the anti-Jew campaign? They moved Jews out of their homes and into special sections of the city called ghettos. Henry? David. They established death camps and embarked on a campaign of mass murder. In early 1942, senior officials of the German government met to devise a final solution to the Jewish question. Let's put a question mark after that, because what is the Jewish question? What final solution are they trying to devise? These men decided that Jews would be transported to concentration camps. They would be worked to death or murdered. As a result of this decision, millions of Jews were killed in gas chambers. In 1940, the country of Denmark, knowing it was too small to defend itself against the large Nazi forces, surrendered to Germany. At the time when the Number of the Stars takes place, there were about 8,000 Jews living in Denmark. Let's highlight that sentence. At the time when Number of the Stars takes place, there were about 8,000 Jews living in Denmark. So most were the descendants of Jews who had immigrated to Denmark hundreds of years earlier from Spain, Portugal, Germany, and Russia. There were also about 15,000 Jewish refugees who had fled to Denmark in the early 1930s. In Denmark, laws protected Jews from anti-Semitism. This tradition went back to 1690 when a Danish police chief was fired for suggesting that Denmark should imitate other European countries and establish a ghetto where Jews would be forced to live. In 1814, the Danish parliament passed a bill making racial or religious discrimination a crime. So we had a bill that was passed, and what bill was that we can relate to? Yes, sir.
You mean the bill?
No, not this bill. What bill do we know about during this time period that was passed? During around the same time period that we can think of. A bill that we can think of, Lori?
Ending segregation.
Okay, ending segregation. So who ended what bill was that? Who is the